What is up, world? BakermanBrad here, and today we're going to be taking a look at ELOA, also known as Elite Lords of Dancing, Alliance. Anyways, also have a little angry guy there. But we're going to be taking a look at some skills, some guns, some mechanics, and a whole bunch of other adventure stuff. So if you're ready, let's do this. Alright, so I'm going to get right into the meaty goodness of what makes ELOA stand out. It's all of the stances and abilities. If you are a micromanaging fiend and you just absolutely love to have to keep track of hitting all of the buttons, all the keys, and making sure you're aiming in the right direction, all the fine-tuning little things, this is your game. Because it takes about 15 seconds to get through half of the skills in 2 of the trees. Because there's 3 stances, 8 abilities per stance, and at the end of the game, towards there, you get another Elite Lord stance, which we'll briefly talk about that towards the end, but I mean, we're going to be running out of mana left and right. You're going to want a ton of mana potions. Health potions are actually pretty helpful in this too, but a lot of games these days, you actually have to have a little bit of a balance between, you know, item management and skill management and all that good jazz. There's also some characters that have some survivability to them, but I digress. This game is going to be all about figuring out what these skills are and utilizing all of them to kill everyone. This is basically a game that you are going to use your abilities to kill everything. Very rarely, or whenever they're very low health and there's like 2 left, are you going to really be worrying about clicking and auto-attacking that one person. And I say auto-attack, I really just mean your basic melee or ranged basic attack. Because there's like such a difference in the level of damage that your abilities do compared to your actual weapon that you're using, which then adds to what your abilities can do. So it's kind of ability heavy, if I'm to just kind of give it a one-word little description there.
It's too silly.
Now, unfortunately, after that, I kind of have to say that ELOA is a little bit generic. I'm not saying it's not fun, just it's going to be your standard. Go talk to someone, get a quest, go kill something, or collect something, and then go back and tell them that you've killed or collected whatever it is that you're getting. That's kind of the long and the short of it, outside of the skills and stances. Now, I can say that it is a little bit of a cutesy anime game, and so we're going to take a look at some of the characters here. Now, there is several different ones that you're going to have. Your Blood Knight, Mage, Snipers, differences in range, and a bunch of other things like that. So each one in their class is going to stay melee or range. So it's not like you're going to have one that has suddenly becomes a lot better. I think there's one actually that might have a slightly different range, and your abilities actually do have some range to it. So it may be a melee character, but you still have range, which is, you know, interesting enough to say. On top of that, you have the 4 races with male and female, except for the Naru, which is just female. And there actually is only one that is gender locked, but we'll talk about that in a second. Your general customization is kind of like everything else. You get all of the fancy colors, and you can make them look all sorts of wild and crazy or tried and true. Great hairstyles for everybody. You got a whole bunch of faces. You got droopy sad faces, awesome happy faces, some crazy bedazzled ear faces. I mean, you got a pretty good little selection. Nothing too dramatic or over the top in terms of customization. But you know how I said they were gender locked? It kind of doesn't matter, because the male characters, except for one race, still is kind of cutesy. Anyways, let's get back into it and start talking about some of the other abilities of certain things. You know, I mentioned that they have the melee characters with some ranged abilities. Well, there's going to be a lot of them that have AoE that's really good, and differences in terms of how much damage they can do to an individual target, what they can do to groups of targets, how they can stun. So just like any other games, you're going to have to be mindful of what it is that you want to do in terms of solo play, and then again, there's 1 or 2 characters that you have to be mindful of when you're in a guild. Because yes, this game, like most of them, has a guild, a party system, and a couple other of your basic components that is necessary to MMORPGs. Now, again, it's very entertaining to have several different classes and understand the mechanics of all of them, so that if you feel like joining in a guild, or once you get to a certain level, I believe 20, you can then go and do some PvP. You got 3v3 all the way up to 6v6, and I think actually also duels. Now, in this, you also have your item customization, which you go to a blacksmith, a weapons forge, and all that, and you get your items better. Now, in this, you can actually only pick one class of, I guess, item customization and or learning how to build items. So a lot of them choose the weapons production. And so then in that, the items that you collect from disassembling random items you get out in the world or collecting them in certain drops and stuff will help you build better, stronger weapons if you chose weapons. There's also the Blacksmith, which after you have items or you've collected them out in the wild, you can go and reinforce them. Just like a lot of games can, you can make those weapons stronger with the weapons you have. Now, on top of that, there are different shops that you can go to in-game to, add accessories, add clothes, get better weapons, and, you still will have to spend the money on it, but this allows you to spend money on upgrading a weapon that you have rather than spending a lot of money trying to get something fancy. Now, keep in mind, if the reinforcement doesn't work, there is a chance that the weapon actually breaks. I haven't had one break. I haven't seen what happens if it breaks, but rumor is, if it breaks, it's gone. Forever. So that's where the reinforcement compared to just buying one really has a difference in terms of what's worth it. There's a safe area in the beginning of it, so the first 2 or 3 levels of reinforcement, you don't really have to worry about insurance, which as you get farther in it, you can have different things in there for your insurance policies. Now, as for a cash shop, I didn't really see anything in there that was very cash shoppy. I'm positive that I can go around and I can find a way to just give them money, whether it be cosmetics, pets, something like that. I haven't found it yet. I didn't really heard anyone talking about it, and I haven't really heard anything outside in the forum world of anyone being upset with the cash shop in this. So I like to think, because of how little I know about it, it's actually a good thing. But like I said, you can only learn one production skill at a time, and so if you wanted to change that, you can, which is actually really good. It's kind of like a respec, but kind of also different, but at least they let you change that if you get something and you don't like it. Now, like I said, pets. There's going to be a lot of them. You get one right at the beginning, and not all of them are mounts. Now, a lot of them are pretty entertaining or fun looking, and they have different abilities, stats, or little skills that as they level up or grow, then they will learn and become stronger and better and actually become useful in the late game. Now, growing it is pretty easy. You have one, you put it there, and you grow it with others. And those other monsters that you use as the resources and or food basically is how you make something stronger. Now, last little part is the namesake of Elite Lords of Alliance, the Elite Lord. Now, I did tell you that you get that very, very late in the game. But the cool thing is they give you a teensy tiny little treat of what it's like to have super fancy, skimpy armor that's obviously significantly better than normal armor because there's less of it. That's the normal way armor works, right? The less armor you have, the more skin that's showing, the better the armor is, right? Especially if it's glowing too. That's obviously the best thing ever. Now, I will tell you that this little Elite Lord exposure, pun slightly intended, is one of the biggest letdowns that I have felt in the game. Not because of the fact that you don't get to use the Elite Lord, because you kind of do, but the first time that I used the Elite Lord, which I'm showing you now, I got really excited. I got on my fancy legendary mount and I was rolling off into battle thinking that I looked fantastic, and I was ready to go. Now, I also decided to take a closer look again to make sure that I was riding side saddle or not, because, yeah, they actually are riding side saddle. And then I get down there, I'm like, nah, you guys, get out of the way. I got a mission to run. I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to go kick some major butt with this Elite Lord. I'm going to use abilities and skills. It's going to be epic. Except someone killed it already. Oh, cool, get the item. And what do you know? You transform again. And I nearly lost it. I nearly lost my mind when all of a sudden I just spent this Elite Lord mission, and I was like, okay, well, there's got to be a catch here. Maybe when after the 5 or 6 seconds are up, I'll turn back and I'll have the rest of the time to be the Elite Lord, right? Makes sense, right? Wrong. I was dead wrong. And after I found out that I turned back into this, I immediately rage quit. Not even gonna lie. But then I realized I needed to explain so that everyone else couldn't run into that same problem, to just watch out for what other people are doing while you're playing the game, because it is real time. So there might be someone else who goes and kills the thing that you need to kill, and if you are in the area, it will affect what you have to do. So if you are having to go kill something, and they kill it, you've killed it. But with that said, if you like the video, hit the like button, that's what it's there for, and if you're playing the game, you obviously like hitting buttons, so bam, there's one more for you. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and I would definitely say give ELOA a shot, see if you like it. And that's been it for me. I'm BakermanBrad. And gamers, get back to gaming. And in this case, pressing a crap ton of buttons.